In this tutorial, we are going to take an ISO file, so an image, an operating system file. We're going to copy it to one of our machines. In my case, I'm going to actually be using a virtual machine to work with the VirtualBox. But you could certainly do this, and probably would work better if you do this on your host OS. So I'm going to look through some ISO files that I have, and I'll go ahead and select this one. It seems a little bit smaller than some of the other ones. So I'll take a copy of Fedora. I'll copy it over to my my host OS. So let's do that. Okay, so it looks like our software has downloaded here, or it's transferred over. So what we want to do is start VirtualBox. So we'll start VirtualBox, and we can see that we have no virtual machines in here now. So I can click New, and I like to give the operating system a name. You'll see the default, it'll start with Microsoft Windows XP. VirtualBox is pretty smart. It understands what I'm typing here, and it takes a guess at what type of operating system I'm installing. You can change that, obviously. So just make sure you select the correct type of operating system and then the correct version. But for me, it guessed it right, so I'm installing a Linux distribution of Fedora. So I'll hit Next. You want to go ahead and select the amount of RAM that you want to allocate. You don't want to allocate more than 75% of the total RAM that you have available. So I'm actually working in a virtual machine right now to install this VirtualBox. So I only have 2 gigs of RAM available. So I'm going to go with the recommended 768. That should be fine. And you can tell it to go ahead and create a virtual hard drive. Next, you'll see some options about the type of hard drive file that you would like to create. I plan on working with this Fedora install only within VirtualBox, so this .vdi file will be fine for me. If you want to have the ability to work within some other VM managers, then some of the other options might be better for you. So if you want it to work with VMware or Parallels, or some of these other options for virtual machine managers, then some of the other options down there will be a better choice. But for what we're doing, VDI should work fine. And how do you want the storage to be allocated? Dynamic is preferable to me, so it'll only use that space when it's actually used rather than just allocating it all out. And this is what I want the max size of my drive to be. And so I'll say probably 10 gigabytes would be fine for me. And so I've created my virtual machine. We still need to turn the machine on and tell it to see this .iso file. We can do that in 2 different ways. We can tell it to boot directly to our .iso file, or we could take this ISO file, burn it to a disk, put it in our physical CD drive, and then boot to it that way. I like to save the disk, not have to burn the disk or take the extra time or step. So go ahead and hit Start, and it's asking, hey, where is your CD drive? And so I'm going to go in here, and this is one I was working on earlier, but for what we're doing now, I want to boot to our Fedora .iso file. And this is actually a live CD, so I should have some options to either install or just boot to it one time. So I'll hit Start, and it should be booting as if that file were in the drive. So I'll hit OK here, and it's about to go through automatic boot. We can see that it's starting to recognize it. We can see it's we see Fedora on the screen. So it's going through and booting. And again, I'm running this install of a VirtualBox within an install of VMware. So this is saying virtual machine reports that it does not support mouse. That's fine. So you can see all the services that are starting and all the hardware and drivers that it's configuring to be able to work with the network card, Bluetooth, USB devices, all of these things. So now it looks like it's about to actually boot. So we can go ahead and log in. So now I've booted. Right now it's booted from the live CD. If I want to install this permanently, which is what I do want to do, I would just next go to install to hard drive. Depending on which version of Linux you're working in, sometimes you click, sometimes you double click. So this is a double click. So the password I'm using is password, and it recognized that, hey, that's a very weak password. But this is for testing purposes, so I'm going to go ahead and let it do this. I do not need any encryption. I don't want to modify the partition layout. And then from that point, you will have your Fedora installed, and you'll be able to boot right into it from then on. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to install an operating system to a VirtualBox. Thanks, and have a great day.